are today going to be disassembling yet another Mazda H series transaxle. This is the old one out of my red probe before I put in the M factory LSD trans. This one is locked in second gear. I'm pretty sure the spider gears started coming apart from the differential and blocked up the shift rail. So I'm going to be taking this apart. I'm just punching out this roll pin for the fifth reverse shift fork. The fifth reverse cluster bolts have already been taken off, and then I will be separating the case halves. So at this point I'm just taking the fifth and reverse clusters apart, and then I will get these case halves apart. So when I come back, you'll see it is a 36 millimeter, I believe, and a 29 mil. This is a 38 millimeter nut for the big one, which is the fifth gear, this guy, and that's the big one there. And then the smaller one, I just used a 29 on because it's the closest one. So yep, this is close to coming apart, and I'll come back to you once it's all taken apart on the fifth gear and reverse cluster. Alright, so got the fifth and reverse cluster off, got the shift rail retaining bracket out and the pin, and now the case half bolts are all taken apart. Got one detent ball that won't come out of there, but whatever, it'll come out when we separate it. I've got spare trainees if necessary. So yep, now it's just going to be separating the case halves and pulling the outer half of the case off. Alright, so got the case halves apart, got the shift gate out. Shift gate was still attached and in good shape, but the shift rails were locked into these holes in the case here where they come through, and I found some metal shavings in there that were binding up the shafts. I had to physically knock them out with a punch to get the case halves apart. And when we pulled the magnet out right here, it had quite a few chunks of what appear to be differential spider gear on them. So I'm going to pull the gear clusters out, shift forks out, and take a look at these spider gears. I'm betting they probably grenaded. So that was probably why it locked in gear, is just there were big chunks of metal floating around throughout the whole tranny. So I'm going to try and get those out. I have another set of spider gears in here, because when I did my M factory diff, it had the tranny that I did the build on had a good stock diff in it. So I kept the stock diff and spider gears, which are all in there, and they are in great shape. So yeah, these are the spider gears that were in there. Awesome shape, no chipping, anything like that. There is very, very little wear. So yeah, these will be going into this trans, which will then probably be going into this 89 Probe GT right here. That belongs to my buddy Chris. What's up, dog? So yeah, I'm gonna pull this into the gear clusters out of the tranny and the shift forks and try and get this diff out, so that I can take a look at how bad the spider gears are. So that is what is coming up next. God damn it, I can't get the video to end because my finger's all greasy. That's always nice. So yep, I'm gonna have to edit this out. Here, bump that square for me, would you? The square here. Alright, so pulled this tranny apart, got the factory diff out, and there are definitely some chunky of spider gear that was blocking up shit, because if you come over here and look, spider gears are destroyed on this thing. Got 1, 2, 3, 4 broken spider gears on that side, and then you got 1, 2, 3 that are broken on this side. The side gears actually look really good though, so these we'll be able to reuse. But I've got Chris knocking the roll pin out of my spare diff here so that we can pull the diff pin out and grab these gears to replace them. So we are going to be replacing these gears. because that other diff's no good because I popped the ring gear off. I cut through all these rivets and popped the ring gear off for my M factory diff. And so we have to reuse the case on this one, but the tranny locked in second gear before it blew the spider gears out of the case. So that was definitely the issue. I'm going to put the new gears into this diff, put it back into this tranny, reassemble it, and it will be a good transaxle again. Alright, so we got the differential housing all disassembled. These are the bad spider gears. The side gears were good, but these are bad. You can see that one's gone. That one's got a big chip out of it. That one's got a big chip out of it. That one's really bad. That one's really bad. That one's really bad. So, and then the actual roll pin that holds the differential pin in place was broken. So this thing was a ticking time bomb. I was about to grenade the stock diff gears right out of the case. Because what happens is that little roll pin goes in this hole here and goes through this hole on the differential pin, which the spider gear is right on. Well, that shears off, which allows the diff pin to come out, and then the spider gears here and here bind up and just blow right out of the case. Right out of the case here. This is the differential housing part of the case. As you can see over here, this is where the differential housing is here. It's where it sits. So when those gears bind up, they just blow right out of the side of the differential, blow right out of the aluminum case. That's the end of that Mazda H series transaxle. Well, I just so happen to have a mint condition set of spider gears laying around and a good roll pin and differential pin. So I'm going to throw these into this housing. This will be all good again, and then I will assemble the tranny back together and everything will be fine. But man, that was close to a serious failure. There we go. I have now rebuilt this Mazda H series factory differential. Diff pins in, roll pins in, new spider gears in. Took 5 minutes. The old ones are right here. They are fucked up. But this is going to be going into a car that makes a shitload less power than I was making, and the driver won't be abusing it like I did. So this is pretty much a brand new factory diff now. So, yep, she's ready to go. I got to throw it back in, reassemble the trans, put all the gear sets back on, figure out these fucking things. I don't know how I knocked these out of here, but I've never actually taken those out before, so that should be kind of interesting, figuring that out. I think I got it, but just got to get it together. That's the 5th gear cluster. That's the 5th gear slider, shift fork, synchros. And then, yep, put the reverse actuator and the shift gate back in. Put the stock diff back in. And this bitch is ready to be reassembled all the way. So, yeah, this should be fun. You want to know where the bullshit starts? Right here. Right fucking here. I hate doing tranny shit. I love it, but I absolutely hate it. Such a pain in the fucking ass. Alright, so we got the stock diff rebuilt with new spider gears. And got the shift forks freed up. The shift rails were binding up in this, and so I got those freed up. So now I got the reverse actuator back on. I got to put on the shift gate. And this puppy is ready to go back together. Alright, so here we are. It's all back together. Shift gates in, torque down, Loctited bolts. Same with the reverse selector. New rebuilt differentials in. And, yeah, just got to start assembling the case halves and everything. Put the right stuff on, get it sealed up. So yeah, making some progress here. About to have this back together.